Okay, let's continue marching forward into the closing sections of Song of Myself. We'll pick up with 49. What does Whitman think about death? What's his attitude towards death? Could it be as different compared to his contemporaries regarding his attitudes regarding God? As to you, death, and you bitter hug of mortality, it is idle to try to alarm me. That's a clue there. Whitman is not really afraid of death. Interesting. Well, why is that? Well, it's a natural process, right? How do we see that? In the same section, a little bit further down. And as to you, corpse, I think you are good manure, but that does not offend me. Yeah, I know my body, this is what's going to happen to your body, as well as my body. It's going to rot in the ground, right? It'll become manure, like manure. I smell the white roses, sweet-scented and growing. I reach to the leafy lips. I reach to the polished breasts of melons. And as to you, life, I reckon you are the leavings of many deaths. Right? So Whitman is able to transcend death, and what does he see in death? It's not only a necessary process, but sees life in death. No doubt I have died myself 10,000 times before. I hear you whispering there, O stars of heaven, O sun, O grass of graves, O perpetual transfers and promotions. If you do not say anything, how can I say anything? Of the turbid pool that lies in the autumn forest, of the moon that transcends the steeps of the sowing twilight, toss sparkles of day and dusk, toss on the black stems that decay in the muck, toss to the moaning gibberish of the dry limbs. I ascend from the moon, I ascend from the night. I perceive that the ghastly glimmer is noonday sunbeams reflected. It's like you can see Whitman's spirit, his soul, his self, coming up from the decay of his body and joining up, right? That idea, what do we see again? Transcendence. Whitman will not be limited by anything. He will not be limited by his body. He will not be limited by God. He will not be limited by death. Section 51. The past and present world, I have filled them, emptied them, and proceed to fill my next fold of the future. Listener up there, what have you to confide to me? Look in my face while I snuff the sidle of evening. Talk honestly. No one else hears you, and I stay only a minute longer. Do I contradict myself? That is something that many critics, many readers of Song of Myself have noted, that Whitman does contradict himself. So what do you do? Well, you address that. Very well, then I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes. Well, big deal if I contradicted myself. That's just part of myself. Because after all, who's inside of here? All men, all women, right? All races, right? Walt Whitman is a cosmos, a universe. Of course there's going to be contradictions. Of course it's going to be hard to nail him down on something. He's always moving. He's always transcending. I concentrate toward them that are nigh. I wait on the door slab. Who has done his day's work? Who will soonest be through with his supper? Who wishes to walk with me? I do. Walt. I want to walk with you. Will you speak before I am gone? Will you prove already too late? Is Walt leaving us? The spotted hawk swoops by and accuses me. He complains of my garb and my loitering. I too am not a bit tamed. I too am untranslatable. I sound my barbaric yawp over the roofs of the world. Look at this self-awareness that Whitman has within Song of Myself here. he knows that this is barbaric, right? A yawp, he's just screaming out. The last scud of day holds back for me. It flings my likeness after the rest, and true as any on the shadowed wilds. It coaxes me to the vapor and the dusk. I depart as air. I shake my white locks, right? As white hair is just like the clouds. At the runaway sun, I effuse my flesh in eddies and drift it in lacy jags. I bequeath myself to the dirt to grow from the grass I love. Whoop, we're returning to where we were at the beginning. Another cycle. Oh, this is so good. I bequeath myself to the dirt to grow from the grass I love. If you want me again, look for me under your boot soles. And though, it's like when you're walking along, stop, pick up your shoe, look at the sole of your shoe, and say hey to Walt. You will hardly know who I am or what I mean, but I shall be good health to you nevertheless, and filter and fiber your blood. Wow. So this idea of knowing Whitman is, of course, impossible for us. We saw that earlier in the poem. He said, we can't think, we can't learn from schools. We have to strip that away. From books, we have to strip that away. And as we saw at the beginning section, Whitman himself said, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you this. But ultimately, that's going to fall away too, right? I'll be your prophet, I'll be your guide. But ultimately, you have to take these steps for yourself and develop your own understanding, your own relationship to God, self, death, right? Whitman is just showing us this. He's a guide. He's our prophet. Failing to fetch me at first, keep encouraged. I like that. So, failing to fetch me at first, keep encouraged. If we're struggling with this, keep encouraged. Keep at it. Missing me one place, search another. I stop somewhere waiting for you. Oh, that's such a strong, hopeful ending that Whitman, hey Walt, is there. He's always encouraging us. He almost takes on here at the end what reminds me of in Tintern Abbey, that presence sublime that moves through all things, emotion. Whitman is saying, that's what I am. That's what I have become. Wow. And again, I know that we just hit on certain sections of the poem with these lectures. Hopefully, you read the complete work, you read more than just what was covered in these lectures. If you haven't, you owe it to yourself to go back and take a look at these different, the whole text of the poem. It's a wonderful thing to read in great gulps of language, to really get in touch with your own song of yourself. So until we get to see each other again, be well, do good work, and keep in touch.